Hey, what's going on YouTube? It is GeneralTarheel, your coach at Charizards, bringing you the APA Season 3 season recap video. Now, this is not exactly a Week 12 battle video that which you'll be seeing from other coaches this week. Basically, I gave a forfeit to my Week 12 opponent being Miticus and the Boston Neutrals. I didn't have time during the week that we needed to battle and whatnot. I was very busy with schoolwork, so I have to just go ahead and give the forfeit. I wasn't that interested in the battle anyways, as I was already out of playoffs, and since I was already at a 6-5 record, I personally did not care if I went and hit the 50 at 6-6. So I just decided to forfeit the Miticus, give him the win, and just move on from there. So basically in this video, I'm just going to go ahead and give a recap of how the season went in my opinion, with the Pokemon we drafted, and then I'm going to go over short summary of the games each week that happened and whatnot. Basically just what happened to me over the season basically and all that, and hopefully where I can learn to improve in the future for APA as well as other leagues, of course. So I'm just going to start off with the Pokemon, see how the roster did throughout the season. So at the initial start of this season, when I drafted this team, I thought it was overpowered. So did a few other people. Some people thought I had the best draft in the league. That's why some people even subbed to me when they saw some of the draft or whatever. Just like, it was kind of insane. I didn't really see too many flaws at the beginning and whatnot, and I felt like it was going to work pretty well. It was a little bit different than what I was used to, kind of, but I still felt like it could work just because they were such amazing Pokemon. Lando T, Charizard X, Toxapex, just that initial core is ridiculous. And I get some of the best tier 3s in Cobalion and Greninja, amazing. I get one of the best fairy types in Togekiss, ridiculous. I get an amazing Assault Vest user in Electros, that's awesome. And then everything from there on out is average, but it works out just well, like it doesn't do too bad. So I was looking forward to the season and whatnot, like I felt like these Pokemon were amazing. And I was actually looking forward to using Lando T for like an entire season, because the one time I drafted it, the league died off and it was kind of unfortunate. So I was really looking forward to using all these Pokemon and whatnot, and it just turned out not being the roster I wanted it to be. I'm just going to start, one by one how it is on the doc right here. This is the APA doc. This is just my team page right here. Shoutouts to Elite 4 Dan for making it so beautiful. He did an amazing job with the doc this season and every piece of graphics. So Lando T, of course, was our first overall pick. Ground flying, amazing Pokemon. One of the best overall. If not the best Pokemon in Draft League format, it's the top 3, 1,000,000%. Only ended up going 12-5 with 11 out of just 11 games played. It went to every game because it doesn't include my forfeit versus Miticus, so it went to every game I played. 41 trophies, not too bad, but considering that half of its kills were in week 1 versus Sleepy Knight 77 or Kyle and the Montreal 2 Canadians, I feel like this is pretty poor. I mean, of course I brought a defensive Lando supported with Stealth Rocks on occasion, and its goal wasn't to get kills, like for example Scarflando and stuff like that. But I felt like I still could have done better. Like, if half of its kills were just in 1 week, I definitely could have capitalized more on Lando T, being more of a strong Pokemon. I think 12 kills for Lando Therian is weak. Like, it actually is. Like, I expect this Pokemon to be closer to 20 or something like that. Like, I definitely think I could have hit that. I think I could have hit more if I tried a little bit harder with it. I mean, of course, it doesn't, like, some Pokemon have a greater matchup at other points in the week. Like, I do have some Pokemon with a decent amount of kills, as you'll see. But, I just felt like the Pokemon still could have done a little bit more, or I could use it more effectively, because it is an amazing mon. I found it throughout the season that it works so effectively. You just have to work around the Hidden Power Ice. This is an ice coverage you're going to have to deal with from everywhere. But other than that, Lando T just puts in the work. It can eat a lot of hits, especially if it's just physical X-type moves because of the Intimidate. And then it's just base 145 attack is ridiculous with Earthquakes. It was a Z user as well, so Ground Z, Fly Z, they just do so much damage to Pokemon, it's actually ridiculous. It was an amazing Stealth Rock and Momentum Pokemon for me especially. I felt like I didn't use it properly if I didn't bring U-Turn a game, because that's kind of what my team capitalized on was Momentum. So if I didn't bring U-Turn on Lando T, I felt like it kind of crippled me. So, but it's definitely an amazing Pokemon. I don't see me using it close in the future just because I want to try out other ground types and stuff like that I have in mind. but I would definitely love to use it again at one point. It is an amazing Pokemon, and if you are looking for an amazing ground type and you have one of the top picks in the draft, definitely consider Lando T. One of the best users, one of the best Pokemon. Sorry, excuse me. One of the best Pokemon in general. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Next up, Mega Charizard X. My mascot Roku. Very disappointed in myself. I used this thing so poorly. I did very well with it in my PMUD league not long ago, but this season I did absolutely awful with it. I got like no setup with Charizard. Not at one point did I consider I was going to get a setup sweep with it. I played it so poorly against teams. It was actually very depressing. This Pokemon is an absolute monster, and I misplayed it so many times. Ever since I misplayed versus Kurt in the Adelaide Absols, I felt like from then on forward, I misused Mega Charizard X for the rest of the season. I brought different sets when I should have brought another one. Sometimes I didn't bring Dragon Dance Roost, and other times that's all I brought. Even though it is one of the most reliable sets, sometimes it's just not the right thing. Of course, my team building did decline throughout the season, which I'll get to when I get to the game part, but Charizard X I felt like could have done so much more. I kind of wish Panther drafted it instead of me, just so you guys could actually seen it do more work, because he definitely would have done better with that, but I know he did amazing with Mega Aerodactyl still, so. I don't know, man. I just wish I could have gotten a sweep with it, with Dragon Dance or something like that. I didn't even use the Belly Drum set this season, which is actually kind of sad, because that's a really fun set to bring. I didn't even bring a Tailwind variant. I didn't do anything like that. I really just brought Dragon Dance almost every week, and I poorly used it every week. There's nothing more to say about that. It's such a powerful Pokemon, especially to get paired with Lando T, and nothing happened with it. I've actually seen multiple teams now, after I drafted this, draft Lando T and Mega Charizard X together, and I guess I inspired a core. I mean, I didn't see anyone else before me draft it. I know Lynx initially wanted this core too, so shout outs to Great Minds and whatnot, but I don't know, man. I just didn't do it. I just didn't put in the work with it, but I know a lot of people can make it work. It's definitely one of the strongest physical attacking cores that I've seen, so I highly suggest it if you can. Just get a really solid water type and something that can get rid of bulky waters very well, which is something my team kind of lacked with, in my opinion. So just make sure you can capitalize on that, and this offensive core will break through teams, I promise you. Next up is Toxapex, the bulky Pokemon I kind of relied on for a majority of the season. Went to 9 out of 11 of our games. Hama did pretty well. It kind of did what I wanted it to, just be a bulky pivot, give me Toxic Spikes up a few games, especially versus like Lynx, for example, in week 9, where it just absolutely tore down his team and Togekiss cleaned up with it with Toxic Spikes on the field. But other than that, it wasn't that amazing. I mean, it managed to get more trophies than my Mega Charizard and more kills, which is kind of depressing. But it did its job, but I don't think I had the proper defensive support to go along with Toxapex. I felt like I had decent Pokemon, but not the best. I felt like Electros paired with it decently well, but definitely not in the end what I wanted. I felt like if I did get the Tangrowth pick with Toxapex, it would have been a little bit better with the Regen core, but fortunately that didn't happen. But Toxapex definitely proved to be an amazing bulk pivot, and definitely proved to be an amazing Toxic Spike setter, and just overall an annoying mon for some teams to break through. At some points they just weren't capable of breaking it, and kind of ensured me a win at that point. It was just going to be a long game there on out if I didn't have another offensive Pokemon in the back. So Toxapex, I definitely recommend it. I don't know if I'll draft it again necessarily, but it's a definitely solid Pokemon. You should invest in it. Tier 1 slot, a little bit controversial. I mean, he's definitely worthy of one, but I don't know if I'd draft it again if it's just tier 1. I felt like it would have been better off if I drafted Starmie with Mega Charizard X being an ice water type with removal. That would have been a little bit better for me. I definitely agree with that. And then next up is Togekiss, our fairy type and flying type, Haxburb. Actually went 7-4, which isn't too bad, coming 8 games out of 11. Definitely put in work in a few matches, especially versus Lynx. Did a little bit versus Crimson Seabad and the Detroit Steelwings. Mainly just putting a little damage off of Mega Tyranitar and other Pokemon like that. And then it also gave A-Drive and the St. Louis Rampardos a little bit of a scare versus his Lycanroc if I did decide to run Chardy, but he still had that game anyways. So I like Togekiss, and I think I used it pretty well. I'm being completely honest. 7-4 is not too bad for 8 games coming. Very, excuse me, jeez. I need to drink some water. Very reliable defogger, 1,000,000% reliable defogger. And such a bulky Pokemon in general. Having a lot of support too, and Thunder Wave, Encore, just being reliable. Air Slash Flincher is nice, even though it really upsets people, and I understand it. It's Togekiss, I don't even consider it hacks, even though I name it Hacksburb. Togekiss and Jirachi aren't hacks, it's just part of the game with the Iron Head and freaking Air Slash. It's annoying as hell, but it's in their favor to get it, so in that case, I don't see it being hacks. That's like calling landing a Focus Blast hacks, which is... Actually, yeah, no, landing a Focus Blast is totally hacks. But, Togekiss, it's a cool mon, bulky with offensive potential. I love the Nasty Plot variant. Like, Stall Breaker, whatnot that I kind of brought versus Lynx. It's just a very cool mon. I really want to use this Pokemon again. I really liked it. I really did. I definitely think it went decently well with the team, but at the same time, when I was trying to make it more of my bulk to go along with Toxapex, I kind of made my team more electric weak. Considering my main ground type was Lando T, being 4 times weak to ice, like every electric type, just running in Bar Ice, and then I kind of have a difficulty with those electric types. I really, which I'll get to when I get to the Pokemon, but I really forced bringing Electros almost every week in this season, and that really hurt me, but I'll get there in a second. So Togekiss definitely put in the work from both the bulky side and the setup Nasty Plot side, or just being a Choice Scarf side. I love this Pokemon. It's absolutely amazing. I totally recommend it. Cleric, Support, Roost, Bulk, Defog, all you need is in this Pokemon. It is an amazing pick in my opinion, and I will definitely draft it again. Cobalion. Cobalions a little bit more different. I know some people really like this Pokemon as a GOAT. I just don't think I used it properly. We got Chief, it only went 4-3. Majority of those kills were just in one game versus Crimson Seabed and the Detroit Steel Wings in week 8. I really just didn't use it well. I know one time I thought I was going to do work versus like Panther, and then he just makes a very strong prediction and knocks out my Cobalion on switching, so. I just personally think I was just not capable of using it correctly. It is an amazing mon, I know that, but Dual Dance, I just don't see how people are capable of getting that off. Your opponent's just got to be brain dead in order for it to happen, in my opinion. Dual Dance is an ideal setup thing, in my personal opinion, once again. I just don't see Dual Dance happening in the game. I'd rather rely on just having one setup move and happening for there. Like, I just brought Swords Dance versus Crimson. I wasn't Swords Dance Rock Polish. I need to put in plenty of work just because I was faster than the majority of his team outside of Sand and whatnot. So, but other than that, Cobalion did give me Stealth Rocks occasionally on weeks, give me full switch momentum when I needed it. It also provided me with Taunt one week. I did have it be a Z Pokemon, it did help me out on occasion, but the majority of the time I'd rather put a Z move on Lando if I could. But Cobalion Z move is amazing as well, because it does need it considering it only has 90 base attack and special attack. Didn't really bring use of a Calm Mind variant, would have been interesting if I did. But other than that, I felt like I didn't use Cobalion properly, and I don't think I'll draft it again for that certain reason. There's a lot of other steel types I prefer, and Cobalion's definitely not one of them. And I would also prefer having a steel type that's actually resisted to Fairy, because that was a little bit annoying. I only drafted Cobalion because I did have Toxapex, which is amazing, Fairy resist and whatnot. But going up against like Mega Gardevoir versus Kurt in the Adelaide Absols, I was like just screwed. I had no switch-ins to that thing. That thing was a monster versus me. And considering he didn't bring webs versus me, kind of helped me a little bit more in that game, which I'm still surprised he didn't. He opted to bring Tailwind Baton Pass or Agility Baton Pass, whatever, with the class score. If he just brought it Sticky Webs, that would have been detrimental to my team because I couldn't deal with that Pokemon. So Cobalion, I just didn't work with it. I know a lot of people really love it, like 6 Foot Axe or Leo really enjoys this Pokemon. As well as Crimson, he enjoys it when he wasn't getting body by it for like 4 weeks in a row or something like that. But definitely a solid Pokemon. But I didn't work well with it, so therefore I'm not going to draft it again unless I really need to. But it's a good mod in general. So definitely give a solid opinion on it, but it just didn't work for me, so I'm not going to draft it in later Pokemon leagues. Next up is Greninja, Crazy Frog. I absolutely love Greninja. I'm 1,000,000% drafting this Pokemon again. I put in work definitely near the early half of the season, and then it just kept dying later on because of my misplays and stuff like that. So it was definitely going to put in more work, and I definitely seen it being capable of getting more kills, but I misplayed it a few times and stuff like that. I didn't make effective use of a hazard setting Greninja this season, which kind of hindered me. I also didn't make enough use of having U-turn momentum on this Pokemon. I'd rather just get off damage of stuff that had reliable recovery, but absolutely 8 versus Greninja, and it just didn't help me at all. So, but Greninja's coverage is absolutely insane. It helped me very much versus the Chelsea Cloisters and the Durham Troutogons for week 2 and 3. Greninja put in so much work. It was absolutely amazing. So this Pokemon is definitely going to be coming back to the Charizards, one season and one draft league for sure. I just enjoy using it so much. Its speed, its spikes, its coverage, even though it's not that strong, it's just an amazing Pokemon in general. I even might be looking forward to making it a Z Pokemon, or if I'm in a league where there's unlimited Z captains, 1,000,000% I'm going to be bringing one with Greninja one week if I do have it on my roster, because this Pokemon's insane. And I'm kind of sad that it only went 8 and 7, and the fact I let it die 7 times is also kind of unfortunate. Because this Pokemon deserved more kills in my opinion, along with Lando T. And I just didn't capitalize on it enough, personally. And next up, we have Electros or Unagi. Like I mentioned before, I relied too much on this Pokemon. And that is why I don't see myself drafting it again. I'd rather get another Solvez user like Goodra or something of the sort, or just another Spadef Pokemon in general, because I just relied too much on it. Because my team was too electric weak. If I don't draft a team that's that electric weak and I still want to get Electros, then yeah, I'll invest in it. But I just saw myself bringing a Solvez way too often. 8 out of 11 games I brought a Solvez Electros, just because I wasn't that comfortable in the rest of my bulk. Even though I had a Toxapex and a Togekiss, but bam, electric weak so easily. I couldn't even put that much pressure on Charizard sometimes by, like for week 2, Chelsea Cloisters. My counter to Rotom Cut or Rotom-O or whatever was my Mega Charizard X, so I forced a Mega Evolution and I had to Roostall versus the Rotom. So, I mean, even though it's ideal, it was kind of annoying because Charizard's such a win potential, and for it to be forced to be a counter to electric types is kind of annoying. So I was really just forced to sometimes just bring Electros or Piloswine versus the electric types, and it really did not help me in one way whatsoever. Electros had amazing momentum and amazing move coverage, as well as being potentially physical or special, but the fact I was forcing it to be a Solvest every week, which is what it does best personally. Honestly, I don't see bringing any other form of Electros being a reliable set, but just forced to bring it 8 out of 11 weeks hindered my team so much to where I couldn't bring other Pokemon that might have been able to have a better matchup than I initially presumed, and it might have been able to put in more work, like might have been able to give me a win versus another team if I didn't feel forced to bring it. Like Electros didn't do anything versus the St. Louis Rampardos. It just ended up getting destroyed by Nidoking with Sludge Wave and stuff like that. And then I ended up sacking it pretty early in the game. And like, if I was actually able to bring another Pokemon, it would have been better for me probably. I mean, Electros was also ideal for Celesteela that game, but still, it's just like, I felt too forced to bring it every week. I don't want to bring a Pokemon like that 8 out of 11 weeks. I really don't. Like, you can see on my roster board right now, like what Pokemon my opponents could easily predicted versus me, and then just not prepped too well for the rest, but have decent counters. Next up is Gourgeist or Jacko-Spook. I decently enjoyed this Pokemon, but I really only had it just because my grass types were sniped. There's plenty of grass types I'd rather use than this Pokemon. Not saying it's bad, it did its job for the games that brought it. But there is other grass types that I am more interested in. But it is a good Pokemon nonetheless. And put in work versus, near the end at least, of the Durham Druddigons games versus the Tauros and whatnot. Absolutely 8 hits. Got off Seed Bombs versus the Tauros just to end up the game and stuff like that. It would have walled Zygarde for the Green Bay Pikachus and stuff like that, and didn't even let it out because Gourgeist walled it so effectively. It's a decent Pokemon. pretty decent spin blocker, but I felt like I'd rather get another grass type in general. As for ghost type, it's pretty decent, but for this team, I definitely would have preferred Celebi, which was my initial hope before it ended up getting sniped, and of course even dropped later on by the St. Louis Rampardos. And then I was also hoping for Tangrowth. So there was plenty of grass types I'd rather have picked with this team. I even would have preferred probably Decidueye over Gourgeist, but based off my draft, I just had to go with Gourgeist. It wasn't that bad of a Pokemon, but I don't really see myself drafting it in the future unless once again I need to, just like for this draft. Next up is Komala. Kind of sad that I didn't get to use Komala more, but it's not that great of a Pokemon. I'm just going to be real with you guys. It's adorable, but it's not that great. Its bulk is kind of unfortunate, and its speed tier is lacking, of course, because it is a Gen 7 Pokemon. It's just, I don't know, it's just not that bulky. Like, you can run a Sylvester or Spadef Wish Pass and stuff like that, but it's just not that amazing. It's good if you just need to draft another Rapid Spinner like I did. That's basically the only reason I drafted it. That's fine, but other than that, it's not that interesting. And the only game I brought it for was Banded Last Resort, which is really cool. I did enjoy it. One shot of Druddigon, which is actually insane. But other than that, I really didn't see myself bringing it any other weeks. I just never thought I would bring Komala for another matchup. I really didn't. So nothing more to say about that Pokemon too much. I tried. I'm just happy I brought it one game. I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm just happy I brought it to one game. Piloswine, we got Appa here. Played 2 games, 1 kill, 2 deaths. Brought it week 1 versus the Montreal 2 Canadiens, and then I brought it week 10 versus the Miami Dolphins. Definitely helped me out 1,000,000% in week 1. Week 10, no, not so much. Because I brought that instead of Electros for my topic go answer. But Piloswine was still a very good Pokemon. I could still see myself picking up in the future just because it is a reliable low tier ground type. Even the ice coverage, the priority, the stealth rocks. It's a good Pokemon. I just ended up bringing it much like I did because I would always prefer my ground type in Lando T 1,000,000%. But it's still a solid Pokemon, and it's definitely worthy of a pickup. It just didn't have much as a role with this roster as I would hope it did. Lastly, Alakazam, or Serial Killer. Didn't do too bad. I don't see myself drafting Alakazam again, to be completely honest, though. It is a good Pokemon with Focus Sash Magic Card, Life Orb Magic Card, just being a strong choice spec set with tricks, something like the sort. But I don't know. It's just lacking still, in my opinion. 1,000,000% I would rather have like a Zelf as a Psychic type in Tier 2 and stuff like that. But Alakazam still put in some work. Only playing 3 games and picking up 4 kills isn't too bad. I know it put in work versus the New York Noibats, and then I think it picked up a kill versus another team. Oh yeah, it was versus Carolina Clefables. It picked up like an extra kill, and then another game it just died. I don't remember what game that was. But definitely is a solid Pokemon. But personally, I feel like it lacks. It's too easily revenged because it is pretty weak in my opinion. Any Scarfer that has U-turn just comes in and then the opponent gets momentum because you want to preserve your Alakazam to try and wall break versus it versus the rest of the team. So in my opinion, it's not the best, but it is a very solid Pokemon in general. So that will do it for the roster. We didn't even get a top 10 for MMVP. Lando definitely could have been there, it was at 14, but fortunately it was not. So I was definitely going to be on track for a tier 1 MVP possibility, but it didn't even matter in the end. And Jacob did well with Zygarde 50% anyways, so I probably wouldn't have even come into play of a tier 1 MVP vote. So it's perfectly fine. Now we're going to move on to the record to where I am 6-6, and 1,000,000% not proud of this. As you can see, I did go 10-2 last season in APA. That's where I was kind of at my peak. Even one of those games was a choke. The only game I accepted that season as a loss was versus Polymac and his Rain team, because he brought 3 Choice Specs users, and that was just amazing prep on his part, because I had no answers to that whatsoever. My other loss was versus Moonlight Swami, and basically I choked a Ribombay sweep with a Quiver Dance because I misplayed. But other than that, and I even choked later in that game. But other than that, I was really happy with last season, and then this season, I didn't reflect it at all. And I even played during PMUD League at the same time as APA Season 2, and I went undefeated and won the championship. So, that is my peak performance. That is what I know I can play like. This season, I 1,000,000% played like garbage. Just to sum it up to you guys, basically I had 3 leagues, I am a full-time college student, and I still try to enjoy my free time. That overwhelmed the shit out of me. Between having to prep for games, having to schedule games, having to do all my schoolwork, study for tests, make free time, and then still have time to record and upload videos, get thumbnails for me and Panther ready. All of that was just too much for me. It killed me at the halfway point in the season, and it showed in my games. At the halfway point in the season, I had no desire to play Pokemon. I had no desire to prep. It was just nothing for me. And it just killed me, dude. I just didn't want to spend free time on this. And also around that time, I started playing Fortnite with my homeboy, my day one, Tristan. My real life homie. He's not part of the Pokemon community or anything. Play with him almost every day. It's just so great. He lives across the country in California. So like, just spending time with him was great, even though it's just over Xbox, because he's a brother to me. And I'd rather be doing that, just raging on Fortnite, instead of prepping for Pokemon and scheduling a battle, or having to drag out a recording of a game I lost and I didn't enjoy because of that reason. I just lost the competitive hype in this game, and it kind of moved over to Fortnite, which is kind of an awkward excuse. I'm not really making an excuse, this is a fact, but it was kind of weird. So it reflected in my games. We went a solid 4-0, and then lost week 5, just like I did in last season of APA. But let me go over those matches really quickly for y'all. So the Montreal 2 Canadiens, very solid match. Necrozma was a little bit scary at first, but once I realized what set it was and I got off the necessary damage with my Mega Charizard X, I perfectly set up my Landorus T to where it just swept with Scarf, and Lando T picked up all 6 kills versus Kyle. That was an amazing game on my part. I played that very well. It only ended up being a 3-0 because Necrozma is a scary Pokemon, and I had to play around it safely, but I played it very well, and I was very happy about that game. Lando T definitely showed that it was going to have potential this season, and I was looking forward to using it for sure later on. And that video, you guys, is absolutely insane. I broke 2.5k views, which is amazing for me. So if you guys haven't even checked it out, check out that match. It was good in my opinion. Week 2, Chelsea Cloisters, Elite 4 Dan, my homie, fellow commissioner, beautiful graphics artist and whatnot. 5-0 win. Definitely didn't deserve to be a 5-0 because I did choke versus Call My Latias, because I did expect it to be Z-move, but Dan is the only dude who doesn't make Latias one of his Z captains, and so I misplayed around that, but I still capable of coming back from it because I bluffed a Choice Scarf on my Lando T. So my opinion wasn't a complete choke because I did make that nice bluff that he fell for, voice crack. But other than that, Greninja put in so much work this week. I think it picked up 4 or 5 kills versus Dan this week. I think it was 5. Ridiculous. I absolutely destroyed him, and it was just amazing. He kept his Talonflame in the back the entire time that outsped me, just because he feared I had Water Shuriken. So Greninja's just that much of a threat, man. So much versus the team. Next up is the Durham Druddigons for week 3, where Greninja came in and weakened his team entirely to where I could just win. Worked so nicely. I did get a Gunk Shot Poison off versus Tangrowth, which basically made it to where I wasn't capable of Ice Beam, and it came down to another Gunk Shot miss. Whether or not I was going to land it actually if he just opted to stay in with Tangrowth. In my opinion, he probably would have switched and preserved it and just, regen core and whatnot, even though it was hard for him to switch into ground and stuff like that, so. But, basically, after we could take care of the Tangrowth, Greninja just had a Funtime versus his team. I knew he was Kebia on his Primarina, but I still opted to just go ahead and sack Micro Ninja because it weakened his entire team. And I got off the damage with the Gunk Shot, and basically the rest of my team was able just to clean up versus his Primarina, his Tauros, his Swellow, because I did knock off the choice specs with my Tox specs against his Swellow. The only time I brought a 252 Tox specs, and it actually paid off versus me, so that's good. So yeah, that game went really well, and I was really hyped to beat 6footX. Someone you watch for the competitive battles and stuff for a while, and able to take him on like that and get a dub is just always hype. I did have the matchup for sure. He will point that out as well, and it's true, I did have the matchup, but it was still a solid game, and I'm glad I pulled it off versus him, because that was definitely going to be one of the tougher matches in the season, and I was glad it happened. Week 4, my boy Mewtwo Fan Nate and the New York Noibats 6-0. It wasn't that long of a battle. I honestly just prepped really well, and then my Pokemon just worked well. Alakazam and Lando T put in the work versus his team. I believe that was all the Pokemon that really did stuff versus Nate. Togekiss also got in some lucky flinches near the end game and picked up 2 kills, I believe, or something like that. But definitely amazing game. It was nice to get a 6-0 in the season. I was definitely very happy about that game, and I was really feeling really good at this point in the season. I believe at week 4, Jacob was still 4-0, Kyle was 3-1, so the division was really interesting. And then week 5 comes around, and I misplayed so many times versus Kurt and the Adelaide Absols. Charizard X was my win condition, and I risked something I shouldn't have. Versus seeing if he would risk a speed tie with his Mega Gardevoir versus Mega Charizard X, and knowing Kurt, I should have known he was going to do that. Honestly, that wasn't my play anyways. I was just tired of kept going into Cobalion every time to try and threaten out the Mega Gardevoir, because honestly, the team I brought couldn't break Vaporeon plus Gliscor. It just couldn't. I did not bring the proper team, and it was just not the correct team build. Charizard X set, stuff like that, Lando, they were all good, but for the team overall, it was just not capable of breaking his walls, and that really did hurt me, because in my opinion, he didn't bring webs, so he did not have the correct potential to win if I did team build better, and I definitely 1,000,000% could have won that game if I was on top of things. But that's when I was still on top of Pokemon. I just made mistakes that game, and it kind of hurt me. So next up is week 6, and I'm taking on Panther 2 in the Carolina Clefables, my homeboy. Fellow commissioner, of course. Dude records all my battles. He is a homie, 1,000,000%, part of the ACC and whatnot. I always look forward to battling this man, but this is when it was kind of dying for me already at week 6. I think I was just kind of upset about the loss at first versus Kurt, but I just wasn't looking forward. Like, I took forever to team build versus Panther, and this is kind of reflecting into where I was kind of getting overwhelmed at this point with all the Pokemon leagues and stuff. It's because I was just getting more and more tired, you know. But I faced Panther. It was still an amazing match. Honestly, the fact that it was still just a 0-2 loss kind of amazes me, because if you watch that battle, he read the shit out of me. God damn, I'm losing my voice. He read the shit out of me the entire match, which is absolutely ridiculous. He had no chill the entire time, making every correct prediction, which definitely benefited him. And he 1,000,000% earned that game. 1,000,000%. So I knew it was going to be one of the tougher games throughout the season, as there was going to be at least three or four games that were definitely going to be tough in my opinion. And Panther and Leo, as of so far of week 6, were definitely 2 of the let's just say 4. Next up is week 7 versus A-Drive and St. Louis Rampardos with an unfortunate 0-1 loss. This is, in my opinion, A-Drive is an amazing battler. He did amazing at the start of the season, and he did amazing in his other leagues, and he did have a kind of an unfortunate loss streak, just as I did. I think I actually passed it to him after I faced him. Sorry about that, A-Drive. But personally, this was not one of the games I thought was going to be one of the tough ones. I know how A-Drive plays, and I was still capable of making that 0-1 because I did know how he played, even though I didn't agree with one play with the Lantern versus my Mega Charizard X. But apart from that, I personally lost because I brought the wrong format team. I prepped basically assuming he was going to bring an offensive team, and then he just brought the fattest stuff possible versus my team. Which is kind of understandable, but at the same time, his offense absolutely destroyed my defense. I was really, really surprised he didn't opt to be more offensive versus me and just rely on Celesteela and just Crest Bulk or something like that. But he brought a really bulky Crest, of course, which I expected, and then a really bulky Celesteela, which kind of hurt me a little bit more because I was expecting an offensive setup. And then which I don't know why, honestly, with Toxapex, Lando, Charizard. Excuse me. And then the Assault Vest Lantern just destroyed me. I was expecting a Raquanid over Lantern. I would have given him webs. Honestly, it was a little bit harder for me to deal with. He could even trapped Toxapex and gotten off a lot of damage and stuff like that. I don't know. But he opted to bring Lantern. That did hurt my team a lot more. Even being Volt Absorb instead of Water Absorb, which was good prep to stop my Electros and Gobalion from Volt switching. So basically, he just prepped differently than expected, and it really benefited him. So he prepped better over me, and that's where it took an effect. But I definitely feel like I could have won this game, but the prep was just not where it was, and that's where it was once again lacking. So unfortunate, but it's perfectly fine. Week 8 comes along, taking on Crimson Seabed. We picked up a win ending the losing streak, which was really happy about. Gobalion put in so much work. Being a nice SD set, he just kept giving me SDs and putting in the work. I was kind of scared working around Latios, until I realized it was Choice Scarf because I was afraid of Z move. But we still did fine versus his team. I did misplay a few times. The differential definitely could have been higher versus Crimson, at least 3-0, because the Electros late game where I could have U-turned out on a Galvantula's Spiderweb. But didn't make that play. It's perfectly fine. It's whatever. Because differential didn't come into play near the end of the season, of course, and whatnot. Week 9 comes around, and this is when I was basically done with Pokemon. I postponed building for Lynx and the self-forwarded Baloos for so long. Our battle even took a while to get around to. But even when it did, I picked up a 5-0 win. I was kind of surprised because just kind of went with it. He didn't bring Mega Venusaur versus me, so Toxic Spike Super Free with Toxapex and just wore down his team. His Nasty Plot Togekiss just destroyed the rest. I did get a few flinches off where it could have mattered because his Quagsire. Jeez, dude. I mean, I did just wake up, but gosh. Quagsire did try to Toxic my Togekiss, and that would have made it a little bit different, maybe. But apart from that, we still played that game very well. I set up the Pokemon where I needed to. Bandit Gomala did pick off the kill turn 1, which was pretty awesome and whatnot. So it was definitely a good game versus the Lynx. And I was really happy at this point because I was thinking, okay, sweet, I still have a solid chance of playoffs. But week 10 comes around to Kyle and the Miami Dolphins. Now, I just want to point out my boy Kyle. He improved so much this season compared to like his other leagues and whatnot. He improved so much. He really did. He did very well this season with Coco Luchacore and other Pokemon on his team like Mega Scizor, Seismitoad he did really well with, Weezing, all these other Pokemon. He just did very well with them. His prep even threw a lot of teams off, such like the St. Louis Rampardos and the Carolina Fables. He just did very well with the team. Honestly, he did. And even though Kyle's improvement didn't show in the initial beginning of the league, even though he was 3-0 at the beginning and then 3-1 and whatnot, he was a threat once I just noticed the matchup because Tapu Koko destroyed my team. Destroyed. Like, if he didn't even go the offensive route I expected, like if he was like just Life Orb or Choice Specs, he was like 3-shotting the Soul Vest Electros, which is insane. Like, it's absolutely insane. It's just my main counter. And then just having HP Ice for my Lander T and stuff like that. Even potential Grass Knot for the Pilot Swine if you wanted to. But either way, basically what happened in that match is I lost my ground types, and then Tapu Koko did its thing. Bent me over and penetrated me, dude. Nothing I could have done about it. I definitely knew it was going to be one of the hardest matchups in the game, or throughout the season, and it definitely showed to be that. And basically losing that game ensured I was out of playoffs, because I did not expect Kyle to lose to Mightygus, no offense to Mightygus, but I didn't really expect him to lose, nor did I expect myself to beat Jacob in the state of mind I was in. And of course that did show an 0-5 loss for week 11 against the Green Bay Pikachus. where I was a little upset about a play, but I don't know why I was even upset in that in my recording, because I knew I was going to lose to Jacob. I even brought a team that wasn't even that strong, in my opinion, and it showed. It definitely showed in the match as I lost by a 5 differential, which was really unfortunate, and that ensured I was out of playoffs. That basically does it for the season, because at that point I forfeited the Mighticus for week 11, and in the end we sat at 6-6 with a 8 differential, which isn't too bad, but it's bad. It's bad in my opinion. I never want to go a 50, like a 50 record again, 50-50, 6-6, never again. The min I can ever accept in a league is 8-4, because I know 1,000,000% I can play better than this. But I was overwhelmed. I was tired of Pokemon because I was overwhelmed, and that is why I'm going to be taking a break. Basically, I'm just going to be taking a break from Draft League format. Very brief break, but I definitely need one, guys. Once P4G Next Gen is done, I'm just going to take a small break from Pokemon in general, or sorry, not Pokemon in general, just Pokemon Draft League, battles and whatnot, being a coach, Charizards, all of that. I might just return when APA Season 4 comes out, because I don't know of any leagues otherwise. I will probably be doing my SDL on the side with the boys, but I don't know if I'll actually upload that. But speaking of SDL, I somehow managed, by the hair of my ass, to make it all the way up to the championship game, and I'm assuming that will be happening soon. I will be facing my boy Loris again, which was definitely a close match. If you don't remember, we did have the Salikberry SD Garchomp coming clutch versus him, so I'm a little bit worried about this match coming up, because he will 1,000,000% not let that happen again, and that was probably the best Garchomp set versus him. So, but if you guys want to see a live battle of the SDL championship game, I need 20 likes on this video. I don't mean to be that guy, but like, I know you guys already give me plenty of thumbs up on my APA stuff, so this isn't a problem at all. So if some of the guys that don't just do it, just hit it this time around, then you're 1,000,000% gonna get the live comm. I feel like that'd be a good way just to kick off, to end kind of the Draft League kind of videos before I take a break for a little bit. But don't worry, if you guys do enjoy listening to my beautiful voice, when it's not dying and I'm not coughing or getting a voice crack, or if you just enjoy like my just commentary on Pokemon in general, my personal opinions on teams and stuff like that, I will be an analyst for a league coming up. I don't know if I have permission to specify what league, but I'm basically just going to hint I'm going to be a power ranking analyst, and just look forward to that. You guys will know what it is when it does come out, and you will see me there. So if you enjoyed my commentary on the only commissioner kind of recap thing we did, make sure to check me out in that, because I will be looking forward to that. I did want to do an analyst position for a while, and I feel like this will help me still be connected to Pokemon without actually stressing about team building and battling and just being upset by the game even more. Because just being an analyst, I feel like I'm easily capable of that, and I still like to upload. It's just I was overwhelmed at one point. So just doing one analyst job, uploading one video a week, I can do that, and I'm going to do it effectively, I promise that. But as for that, I'm going to try to get you guys the rest of the P4G Next Gen videos. I honestly don't even know if I'm going to do my last week battle. I'm kind of tempted to forfeit. I'm on the verge of playoffs, but like I mentioned, I just want to take a break at this point. So, but remember, 20 likes and I'll get you guys the SDL Championship final game. But that'll be it for the Charizards, guys, for APA Season 3. We tried our best for the most part, and I hope no, not hope, but I promise you guys, we will come back stronger than ever for APA Season 4, because your boy's the commissioner. You know I'm going to bring it back. We're going to bring all these coaches back, hopefully. Hopefully they are interested in returning to us. We would love to have them back. And that'll be it from me for APA Season 3, guys. Sub, like, share, deuces.